So right now, you follow me for a reason. You're listening to this episode for a reason, especially if it's your first time ever listening to me. This episode is a sign that you attracted into your life. The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. What's going on? You're listening to episode 158 of the Perspective Podcast. My name is Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective, and I'm here to break down the art of healthy hustling for artists, designers, and freelancers worldwide. At the end of each episode, I plug a listener of the week, so stick around to figure out how you can get a permanent shout out on a future episode. And one announcement today, and it's a big one. It's a huge one. I'm currently wrapping up the first edition of the Side Hustler's Handbook PDF course, which is a resource I wish I had when I was just getting started. This is something I built exclusively for my coaching program students, but I wanted to offer it publicly for those who the program maybe just isn't a good fit for them during the season, but they still want access to the foundational building blocks of the program. And this first version that I'm working on right now consists of 12 work at your own pace exercises that are going to help you gain extreme clarity on your side hustle pursuits. Lock down a bulletproof game plan to eliminate guesswork, craft your positioning statement and elevator pitch, master your time management so you can execute outside your day job and life responsibilities, and turn your Instagram into a tool for promoting yourself, attracting clients, and building a like-minded tribe around your work, your messaging, your voice, your style, all of it. And that's not all, dude. I have like 50 more exercises brewing in my mind that I want to add to this handbook, which means the price is going to go up every time I make an update and re-release it, because this thing is legit going to be packed with gold of everything I've learned over the last 5.5 years of turning my side hustle into a profited full-time business. However, to avoid the price increases, anyone who purchases it up front, especially the first time around, gets lifetime free upgrades sent their way when I publish an updated version. So when is this going to release? Well, I'm eyeing early March for a public launch release. However, the perks of being on my email newsletter team are that you get first dibs on an early bird discounted rate before the public gets their hands on anything I launch. So if this is something you're interested in and you want to jump on that early bird discounted rate, go to sidehustlerswarchest.com to join the team and stay up to date. Plus, you get to soak up the free Side Hustlers War Chest resource at the same time. If you haven't done that yet, it's going to be a perfect complement to this in-depth Side Hustlers Handbook mini PDF course. Again, check it out. Get your free download over at sidehustlerswarchest.com to be first to be updated when this stuff drops. So with that being said, let's pivot to today's topic. So I do not care about your religious or spiritual beliefs. I don't care, but I respect and I welcome them all. I want to know if you're the type of person who believes in signs. And no, I'm not referring to M. Night Shyamalan's highly underappreciated 2002 science fiction film Signs. Thought that was dope because I'm an alien junkie. But when I'm talking about signs, I'm talking about the signposts of life. You know, your gut, your intuition, your heart that's attempting to serve as your internal compass. I used to think this was all a bunch of woo-woo malarkey for people who've done a wee little bit too much LSD in their days and think they interact with angels. Yet again, I'm the same dude who's believed in ghosts and aliens my entire life, so maybe I'm the crazy one. But things have changed, and I've shifted my perspective on the matter, hence Perspective Podcast. Now I live for this shit, and the more I've tapped into my self-awareness, the more I'm able to notice these signs and open myself up for the opportunities flowing my way. There are signs and omens all around us, and it's our job to notice them. You could be ignoring the exact thing you didn't know you needed to elevate your side hustle to new heights, that you never could have imagined. So if you haven't yet, please read the book, The Alchemist. I even put out an episode on this. It's all about the omens and signs and chasing your personal legend. Damn it, I don't remember what episode. Type in Perspective Collective, The Alchemist, and you'll find that episode as I break it down. But oh my gosh, the audiobook, you got to listen to it. It's going to shift your limiting beliefs as it did for me, even though it's nonfiction. So, you know, it's still a gold one. It's my favorite book of all time. So today, the following are the 4 signs you could be ignoring that are holding you back from getting the breakthroughs you're wanting with your ambitious side hustle pursuits. And for each one of these signs, I'm doing 2 things. One is I'm going to tuck in a personal anecdotal experience for each one of these so you can see how these forces could be working in your life as they've been working in mine. And then at the end of each one, I'm going to add a quick moment of reflection, action steps, so you can connect the dots and start pinpointing where a breakthrough could be manifesting for you. Before we get started, today's episode is sponsored by our good friends and family over at Retro Supply. They're the leading provider of Illustrator, Photoshop, Procreate, and Affinity design resources to make your work stand out in a fraction of the time. Take advantage of 20% off with my never expiring promo code. That's Scotty20, SCOTTY20, through the special links in the show notes or my Instagram bio. So thank you, Retro Supply. And again, you can find the Side Hustlers War Chest link, the sponsor link for Retro Supply, as well as show notes for today's episode over at perspective-collective.com/158. And do me a favor, please, if you found value in this episode, help me spread the good word by sharing a screenshot or a video of you listening and working to this in the background. Tag me on my Instagram stories so we can connect and I can reshare the love back. As always, keep an open mind and act on anything that inspires you today. Let's go. Leading off with number one, the first sign that you could be ignoring are signs that show up through adversity. Disguised in the cloak of adversity and hardships. So when life hands you lemons, are you the type of person to whine and bitch about it? Or are you the type of person to make a vodka lemonade with a double shot of Tito's? Of course, that's my style. It's too easy to play the victim when adversity strikes and vent to the closest person around you or on your Facebook status about how this happened to me. Taking this stance immediately positions you as a victim, and you place that negative energy on someone else that you're complaining to. What if, instead of something happening to you, it was really happening for you? And for me, it's always been in the form of like toxic relationships ending badly. Yeah, it led me to learning how to make myself happy, which I'm still trying to perfect, but eventually that led me to my wonderful, beautiful wife, Emily, aka my baby mama, aka my boo thing, aka M Slice for life. You get the point. But how about most recently, when I was unexpectedly let go from my safe job last year? Honestly, I played the victim for like the first 2 hours after getting canned, as we had just closed on a new home a week before and announced kiddo number 2 was on the way. However, I was able to snap out of it and get to work. And as I look back and connect those dots, which is kind of the theme of today's show, I was able to see that the universe was really shoving me into taking a leap of faith before I was ready, which was pursuing full-time coaching and freelancing this year. And I hadn't been busting my ass with my side hustle for over 5.5 years for nothing, right? So yeah, getting canned right before the holidays, it didn't happen to me. That shit happened for me. And now I get to take this new challenge head on, and I plan on sharing everything I learned, highlights and low nights, the crusty times. I'm going to share all of it along the way, just like I always have. I'm going to be an open book about everything I'm going through with this new journey. And hopefully you can find something that can help you bypass some hurdles with whatever you're pursuing. So at the end of this, I told you I'm going to provide some action steps in the form of quick moments of reflection. So with adversity being disguised as this breakthrough that you could be having, I want to ask you, what's a curveball life has recently thrown at you? And what's the potential blessing in disguise or learning opportunity tucked away in it that can help you grow, that maybe you're just not seeing because you're just so caught up in the stress or the adversity in the moment? So noodle on that, maybe write some notes and even share those notes with me. That'd be dope. Number 2, the second sign you could be avoiding or ignoring is a fear-based sign. The lizard brain, it is the oldest part of your brain. It's responsible for the aggression and fear triggers back in our caveman days when it was fight or flight to survive, when like a T-Rex was about to bite your head off. Are you going to fight or are you going to flight? All right, that was the lizard brain. Our brains continue to try and keep us safe by disguising potential life-changing ideas and opportunities as risks and then placing them behind this wall of fear. When we operate from fear, our minds only know how much we could lose by taking that risk. It can't measure how much we can gain by breaking through the wall to get to the gold on the other side. It's a paradigm shift when you learn that fear is your intuition guiding you to unlock the next version of yourself. Fear is an indicator of something you're excited about. A new challenge is on the horizon that you're meant to tame and conquer. My biggest fears have always led me to my biggest breakthroughs. For example, sharing my work, blogging, public speaking, podcasting, and pursuing coaching in 2019. Had I not chased all these things, I would not get to do this full time. And I've documented the journey, not knowing I was eventually going to get here, but you can go back all the way to like 2015 when I started this shit, just posting religiously on Instagram on 2014 and 2013, so I've documented this whole journey. And I've learned to use my fear as a cue that whatever excites me yet scares me is something I need to be pursuing. It's because I've gotten uncomfortable and pursued my fears that I'm able to pursue this gigantic fear of doing this full time. And trust me when I say I wake up fucking terrified each day, yet I'm more excited than I've ever been for anything when I find my groove in the studio. I just get lost in the sauce and, turn on the switch. It's grind time. So the quick moment of reflection for this fear-based sign that you could be ignoring, I want to challenge you again on this. What's something that excites you, yet the fear of failure, judgment, or even success is restraining you from taking the first step to pursuing it? How can you get out of your own way to unlock that next version of yourself you're supposed to become? Sign number 3 that you could be ignoring: repeating patterns and good fortune. We take for granted the minuscule good things that happen to us each day. At least I know I do, and I have to put myself in check. We, probably too wrapped up in that adversity I talked a little bit ago, brush off these good fortunes and repeating patterns. We brush them off and we keep pushing on with our day. What if those little fortuitous events that happened were really cues for you to connect the dots and take action, massive action, or just take initiative and get started? What if people here and there tell you that they liked your little doodles on napkins and coasters that you would do in coffee shops or restaurants? This could be a cue that you have a future as an artist. And I'm not going to lie, this was me growing up, but I was convinced that I wasn't a good artist, so I didn't share my work until my early 20s, or at least claim that I was an artist. I was always sketching or doodling in restaurants or wherever we were, always getting like little compliments or little comments towards my stuff, but like in my mind, I was already shut off. I'm like, dude, I'm not an artist. This is just chicken scratch shit that I keep to myself. Or here's another scenario. What if people sporadically tell you that you have a good way with words or storytelling? You have a spectacular vernacular. This could be your cue that you should be pursuing something along the lines of becoming an author or in the fields of copywriting. Or maybe you could be a dope podcaster, a blogger, a vlogger, or whatever. You get the point. Or what if people randomly told you that you just have a really good eye for detail? This could be your cue that you were meant to thrive as a designer, photographer, motion graphic artist, or videographer, etc. With these little cues that people are giving you, maybe these align with your interests. So you have a great eye for detail, but you're also interested in photography. Well, maybe this is your idea now of something you should be pursuing that could light you up. And for me, everybody told me, I was pretty good at drawing growing up. If they ever caught a glimpse of my sketchbook or whatever, I tried to keep private. But it was little things like that throughout life, and my love for drawing and my escape is when I finally started showing my work on Instagram. That gave me the confidence as an artist because I was receiving that early validation of like 2013 and 2014, in which sparked Perspective Collective in the first place. So from there, after I started finding my groove with drawing, it was little comments and signs and patterns from people saying like, you'd be a great motivational speaker, which I definitely don't consider myself a motivational speaker. It's also people saying like, you should start a podcast, or you'd make a great coach. And I ignored these in the beginning, but now I look back and I can see that these were signs that have been trying to push me toward the direction I'm steering my ship today, into coaching and podcasting and trying to become a bigger keynote speaker on things so I can get my message out on bigger platforms. And you better believe I pay attention to this shit now. I pay attention to the repeating patterns that come up sporadically each day. So here's the quick moment of reflection action step. What are some reoccurring events, patterns, comments, etc. that seem to circle back around in your life? Make a list of them and start to connect the dots. These things could be leading you to the next step you're supposed to take with your creative side hustle pursuits. All right, number 4, the last sign you could be ignoring is synchronicity. And here's where that woo-woo malarkey begins to set off people's bullshit radar detectors. Big Daddy Google states, synchronicity is the simultaneous occurrence of events that appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. A lot of big words there. I was a big skeptic, and now I'm a huge believer. Again, I had a paradigm shift. My perspective changed. I see the world differently through a different lens. As I'm a believer because I've seen how this has worked in my life, especially in 2019, where I had my most success when things took off the most. It's because I opened myself up to a different frequency. I'm a believer that there's a much greater power out there pulling the strings. You can, again, have faith in the form of God or whatever religion you believe, or maybe it's faith in yourself. It's whatever. And I'm choosing during this season of my life to label this as the universe. You can call it whatever you want to choose to believe in. There's no judgment here, okay? I just think there's something out there that's just working way bigger than we could ever imagine and pulling the strings of some crazy shit out there. It's just too coincidental how things are with the patterns out in the universe and how they align with like the patterns in nature, just crazy shit like this. But call it whatever you want. Again, as long as you have like something that you can put your faith in each day, even if it's just yourself again, then that's cool to me. And if you don't, that's fine too. I don't care if you're an atheist. If you jive to this show, that's fine. Find a gold nugget within this. As I ramble, back on track. So I'm learning that the more I'm in alignment with the direction I'm supposed to be going, the universe will continue to deliver me what seems to be insanely serendipitous and coincidental opportunities. And back in 2019, at the beginning of the year, when I chose to go all in as the side hustle coach, I had to make tough choices like to stop freelancing, to stop teaching workshops, and to stop selling products in my online shop. It was extremely hard to do as I really didn't know what I was doing in terms of launching a coaching program or being a coach at all, along with copywriting and email marketing, which like totally makes up the base of these successful coaching launches or any product launch, to be frank. So, however, I chose this path because it felt right in my gut and my bones and my soul. And I fed off the repeating comments from peers that I'd be a great coach. And as I stumbled early in my coaching pursuits, oddly enough, people and opportunities presented themselves and were exactly what I needed to be successful, even though I probably would have like said no or ignored them in the beginning. So out of nowhere, I had a coach and a business consultant magically cross my path that were the perfect fit for what I was needing, aka Mai DeLeon and Tom Ross, who was just on recently. I didn't even know what I needed, so it made it even extra crazy that they just came across my path, and working with them completely transformed my side hustle business, which is why it's my full-time business today. And I keep driving that home because I want to paint this picture of where you are with your side hustle. You can get to where you're doing your thing full-time. Like, it's totally possible if that's your goal and your mission. And so while I was getting my program set up, I was missing that breadwinning part of my side income, which was freelance. I stopped doing it. However, I trusted the process, and randomly opportunities showed up to become like affiliates for products and people I believed in that aligned with things that I value and believe in, but I also know they would provide people like you absurd amounts of value. And throughout the process of gearing up to launch the first version of the program in September 2019, it seemed someone or something always popped up out of nowhere that gave me the answer or the solution I was seeking to step into this new phase of my business. People would come out of nowhere offering me help that I didn't even ask for. It was truly insane. And things happen for a reason, in my opinion. And synchronicity is the real thing, in my opinion. When something unexplainable or fortuitous happens that doesn't quite make sense, in my opinion, I know that there's a deeper meaning behind it, and I feel you should use it as a cue too. And no, some super woo-woo shit. I haven't really talked about this publicly, but I'm also going to mention the fact of I saw the number 1111 a lot last year, and I see it all the time today still, as well as 111, 222, 333, 444, 555. That's a whole other woo-woo story, but when I started to look up the meaning behind it, because I look up like what these reoccurring dreams mean and these patterns mean, I'm like, maybe there's something tucked away in here I'm not noticing that I would normally, shrug off. So I was seeing 1111 all the time last year. And then like somewhere around late July, I had this shift in my finances and money and paying off debt and launching the program, whatever. I'm like, okay, I just need to start looking this up. And when I started looking up what 1111 meant, like this sacred number, I was like, whoa, a lot of things started to make sense of like the terms of opportunities, big breaks, breakthroughs, people coming into my life when I wasn't expecting it, just random opportunities that I opened myself up to. It all started to make sense, again, connecting the dots. So if you see 1111 often or any other numbers I mentioned above, I highly encourage you to just start looking it up of what these numbers mean and how they can apply to you, because these could be signs that you're ignoring and like real blessings coming your way that you're totally just pushing off to the side. If you think I'm crazy, but at the same time, you're tired of not seeing results and you're tired of playing the victim in your life, what could it hurt to open your mind up to something different that science can't fully explain? Again, having faith in something that's bigger than yourself working behind the scenes. Crazy shit, man. So this quick moment of reflection piece is, I want to ask you, what series of fortunate coincidences have happened across your past? Have people come out of nowhere to offer you their assistance? Has an opportunity shown up at your doorstep, which could be disguised as adversity? These are things you need to pay attention to. Take a moment and connect the dots, as whatever is pulling the strings out there could be showing you a path that you're totally missing out on. So as I wrap things up, let's talk about stop missing your breakthroughs, and you got to notice these signs. So again, I'm one of those type of people who feels everything happens for a reason, and you're either attracting or repelling things into your life, whether you're intentionally doing it or not. So right now, you follow me for a reason. You're listening to this episode for a reason, especially if it's your first time ever listening to me. This episode is a sign that you attracted into your life. Maybe you're creatively stuck and lacking a purpose with the work you share, or you desire to start sharing with the world. Maybe you crave to build something meaningful outside your 9-to-5, but lack the time and motivation to make the necessary moves to see results. Maybe you're going through some shit right now, but realize it could be the push you need to take the step to become the best future version of yourself. Whatever it is, do not ignore the signs. The more you ignore these 4 types of signs, the universe or whatever you choose to believe in will take the hint and stop sending them your way as you subconsciously declare you're comfortable going in the same direction and you're comfortable with the same results. I kick out this podcast for a reason. It's to help creatives like you get unstuck and blaze your own path. And as cheesy as it sounds, it took me a while to fully notice the signs that this is the route I'm supposed to be taking. Coaching and kicking out empowering art and content for side hustlers like you is the type of shit that lights me up. And my new spider sense is always tingling as I try to catch a whiff of the next omen or sign directing me to the next steps to serve you better, as well as to get my next breakthrough. So it's up to you to do the same, as your breakthroughs are waiting on you to make them happen. You got to start noticing them. You got to keep your head on a swivel and keep taking action, and the answers will reveal themselves over time like they have for me. PC family, those are the 4 signs you could be ignoring that are causing you to miss your breakthroughs. Again, this show is bigger than just creating dope work. It's fuel for your mind and creative grind for a reason. It's also called Perspective Podcast for a reason, so you can shift the lens in which you see the world through. And I would love to personally hear from you today if this episode hit home, especially if you're a first-time listener and this was the first one you ever heard. Otherwise, please share it with your friends, family, and following if you think they would benefit from it as well. It makes a way bigger impact than you could ever think. And if the show has helped you anywhere along your creative grind, there are 2 ways you can support what we're building here. First off is by supporting the show on Patreon at patreon.com/perspectivepodcast, like my family over at Iron Bean Coffee Company does. The second way to support the show is by subscribing or leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Not only does it get you locked in as a listener of the week, but it helps the show grow in the arts design categories and find people who can find value in it as well. And it gets you locked in as listener week, like this week's listener of the week. This one's titled Top Notch from Munchkin Amanda from Canada. And super sweet, brief, right to the point. They state, I've only listened to a few episodes and I'm already hooked. Great podcast, great guests, fantastic content. Do yourself a favor and listen now. Their Instagram handle was a.rosedesigns. So thank you for that. And as I wrap things up, I want to give a huge shout out to my podcast editor, Anya Brennan, my executive assistant, Paige Garland, my video specialist, Colton Bacher. You 3 are the glue that holds this show together. And a big shout out to my homie, Nick Jenkins of Bluka, for all the dope theme music you hear on this show. Listen, support, and find his music over at Spotify, SoundCloud, and Instagram at Bluka, BLOOKAH. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this.